Secondly, when we give away our thoughts with our face, we are giving away time.
Hi there, I'm Vanessa Kaiser, a ranch girl turned social worker, business leader, and now entrepreneur. I'm passionate about diving into organization, leadership, personal growth, and efficiency. Around here, we call it rhythmic living, that continuous cycle of assessing the season of life that we're in and creating habits, routines, and processes that serve us best. This show is for the busy, the dreamers, the tired, the go-getters, those who want to live fully, grow steadily, and feel inspired each day. Welcome to the Inspiring Heights podcast.
Most all of us have had these moments in life where someone offers us an unsolicited piece of advice that ends up changing our life forever. I can remember one of those instances in my life just as clear as if it happened yesterday. I was in my junior year of college, and in order to progress through the social work program in the spring of your junior year, you had to apply and interview to be accepted into the professional social work program. This was a big deal, right? Because you couldn't graduate unless you went through the professional social work program. So as I was anticipating my interview, I was nervous. If you have spent any time at all around Inspiring Heights, you know that I am all about finding tools and processes that make life a little easier. What can I say? I am obsessed with efficiency. So here's the real scoop. When I first started seeing freeze dryers online, I dismissed them. Too expensive, too big, and what would we even use it for? Seems like an awfully large investment for some freeze-dried bananas. But then as time went on, I started seeing more and more internet friends using freeze dryers in incredible ways, like creating soup in a jar that just needs water to be transformed into a delicious and nutrient-dense meal on a busy night. My curiosity grew, and about 14 months ago, we decided to take the plunge. Let me tell you, this is one purchase I have absolutely zero buyer's remorse for. The freeze dryer has been a game changer for meal prep, saving money, and reducing waste. For example, I can buy a 20-pound bag of onions, chop them all at once, freeze dry them, and not cut another onion for actual months. Sure, freeze dryers might seem like a homesteading trend at first glance. I thought the same thing. But after using the Harvest Right freeze dryer, I am convinced that it is a tool almost anyone could benefit from. Whether it's batch prepping meal ingredients or creating meals that just need water to be ready, this machine makes life simpler and more efficient. If a freeze dryer sounds like the solution for your busy life, check out Harvest Right. They have options to fit different needs and budgets. Visit my affiliate link, affiliates.harvestright.com/2639, or click the link in the show notes. Before we get back to the show, I have one more bit of great news. Harvest Right is running a lovely deal for February. From now through the end of the month, you can get up to $900 off select freeze dryers. Plus, for my listeners, Harvest Right is offering an additional $100 off your purchase using code LOVE100 at checkout. Just follow my affiliate link, affiliates.harvestright.com/2639 and enter code LOVE100 today. I'll link all this for you in the show notes. When I walked in, I found myself sitting across the table from two of my professors, one who was just this really incredibly kind, patient, and gentle human. And the other, well, he challenged every assumption, pushed every button, and really forced his students to see things from perspectives that they'd never considered before. That second professor, though he drove me absolutely crazy, and I would tell him that to his face even today, he was my favorite. He taught through storytelling, equipping us with real-world wisdom that prepared us for the challenges of social work. To be sure, we butted heads more than once. But beneath all of it, there was this deep mutual respect. To paint a little bit of a picture, I was one of those teacher's pet kind of kids. I turned in my homework on time. I worked hard to produce quality work, and I did extra credit just for fun, even when I had 100% in the class. Now, to be very clear, I am referring to my social work classes here. I will not be showing you my report card for algebra, okay? So, with that image in mind, you can imagine my surprise when the unsolicited advice was lobbed my way in the midst of what was, at that time, the most important interview of my life. Vanessa, you're smart. You have a great work ethic. You care about others. And those are all good qualities. But your face gives away every thought that runs through your head. If you don't fix that, it will become your biggest liability. Youch. Those words took me by surprise. But you know what? They were 100% true. In every debate, I let my face tell every story running through my mind, and I promise you, those stories weren't always that nice. So I picked myself up and I started focusing on what I now describe as my poker face. Years later, in the midst of a particularly challenging intake meeting during my child welfare crisis response days, I remember thinking of that old professor who told me to get my face together. As I sat across the table and heard these people describing things that I wouldn't wish anyone to ever have to endure, to tell, to hear, to listen to, I knew that if my face was showing what I thought, I wouldn't know half of the information that I did. See, in that world, and honestly just in our day-to-day life, when I was talking with people that I didn't know and they were sharing the hardest parts of their story with a complete stranger, my ability to keep a straight, warm face built a bridge of trust that nothing else I could do would build. Fast forward a few more years, and I sat across the desk from a boss who said to me, Vanessa, I really appreciate that you don't get emotional about work. You can keep things moving because you don't take it personally. I laughed inside because I thought, if only you knew how emotional some of this stuff makes me. But the point isn't that the hard stuff doesn't make us emotional. The point is how we handle it. I want to go on record before we dive into this and say out loud, this is not a conversation about men and women's emotions and how those play together or differentiate in the workplace. Not that that topic isn't worth exploring, because it really, really is. It would be so interesting, but that's not what we're diving into here today. Today, I want to focus on how emotions play into professionalism and answer this specific question that we are all faced with from time to time. How do I regroup and keep things moving when I have big emotions about something at work? Let's start with emotions and professionalism. ChatGPT defines professionalism as, quote, the conduct, behavior, and attitude expected of someone in the work or business environment. It encompasses qualities such as competence, reliability, integrity, respect, and accountability in how one interacts with others and fulfills their responsibilities. Professionalism also includes maintaining ethical standards, effective communication, and a commitment to continuous growth and excellence in one's field, end quote. From this definition, we can easily see how our emotions have a direct tie to our ability to carry ourselves professionally. If we get angry and act on that anger in the workplace, we can cross a professional line. If we're disappointed about a decision and we respond by being passive-aggressive with our coworkers or our team, we have crossed a professional line. If we are elated because our idea was chosen over someone else's, and then we go in the break room and we brag about it while we're putting down the intelligence of the person whose idea was passed up, we are for sure crossing a professional boundary line. Here's something I want to be crystal clear about. When something makes us angry, sad, disappointed, excited, happy, elated, we are not working to squash that emotion. This isn't a coaching session about getting rid of our emotions. This is a conversation about how to wrangle our emotions so that we can maintain professionalism in the workplace. Have you ever worked with someone who makes decisions and acts from their emotions? If they're angry, everyone knows it. Watch out. If they're feeling happy, it could be a good day. If they're stressed, the waterworks are starting soon. It creates an atmosphere of chaos when this happens at work. This is true for every person on the team, but I would emphasize that this is particularly true when it comes to leaders. People are relying on their leaders for stability, for foresight, for a sense of calm amongst the chaos. So when a leader lets their emotions trump their duty to professionalism, the culture of the team can get sour really quickly. I know this is kind of a bit of a downer conversation so far, and I promise you we are getting to the inspiring stuff. I just want to ensure that before we jump into how to keep our emotions in control, we understand why it's so significant. Do you ever get frustrated when you're working on a hobby? Like you're out on the golf course and you are having the worst golf game ever, and you just are fired up. You hook a shot like this is the first day you've ever golfed, and you slam your club down on the ground and you grunt. Does your frustration help your game? When you're tense, mad, and worked up, does it help your next shot go better? I'm no professional golfer, but I've played a little. So, from personal experience, let me tell you the resounding answer to that question is not a chance. The same thing is true for us at work. It seems like maybe letting our emotions run loose for a little bit might shape our team up or let leadership know that we mean business or make that coworker think twice about being such a meanie head next time. But just like our golf game, our big blow up of emotion rarely moves the needle forward. So how do we handle it? How do we feel the emotions that we're feeling? Because sweeping them under the rug creates a tripping hazard that will inevitably break someone's nose at some point. Without letting our emotions control how we act, speak, and move in the workplace. Do you ever wish there was a natural, science-backed way to ease aches, boost your mood, and even support healthier skin? I felt the same way until a friend introduced me to LumiBox. Not too long ago, I was venting about long-time ankle pain to one of my girlfriends, and she encouraged me to check out LumiBox, a red light therapy device. She brought it with her for a girls' weekend because this is what it's like to be in your 30s, my friend. I gave it a whirl, and after just a couple of days, I can honestly tell you I was sold. That was the beginning of my journey with this incredible tool for holistic health. Now, LumiBox is a Kaiser family favorite. We use it for everything from soothing aches and eczema to giving our mood a gentle lift on tough days. Here's the deal. LumiBox harnesses the power of red light and near-infrared wavelengths to promote healing deep beneath the skin. Backed by science and loved by so many, it's a simple, natural way to support your mind and body. And for a short time only, LumiBox is offering my listeners an exclusive $260 discount. Just visit LumiBox.com and use the coupon code INSPIRINGHEIGHTS at checkout. Don't wait, this could be your next step towards holistic health. I'll put the link and the coupon code in the show notes. The first thing we do is get good at poker. Not the game, the face. Just like my old professor told me all those years ago, our face is our first giveaway. And in this game, we don't want to give anything away until we're ready to. If you don't have a good poker face, here's what I'm going to tell you. It takes time and practice. Ask a trusted colleague to hold you accountable, someone who spends a lot of time with you in meetings and interactions throughout the day. Remind yourself before every single interaction that you want your face to remain neutral. When you feel your emotions start to rise, do a quick face check in your brain. How's it looking? What story is my face telling the other people around me? The things that were true for me about learning to have a poker face are true here as well. Keeping a neutral face helps to invite people to expound, and information is generally a very helpful tool in figuring out what we're going to do next. Secondly, when we give away our thoughts with our face, we are giving away time. Time to think, to process, to strategize about how to respond. I'm not saying that we have to think about something for 3 days before we give a response, but perhaps a quick 3-minute thinking session might help us to determine a more productive next step than just our automatic emotional response. The second thing we do is pause to consider, if it's really personal or not. Sometimes our emotions flare over pure passion for the work in front of us. But a lot of times, if we're honest, our emotions flare because we even subconsciously are taking the thing, whatever that might be, personally. Because they're upset with the work that was done on this project, that must mean that they think I'm incompetent. Because they didn't like that idea, that must mean they don't like me. Because everyone just kept moving when I voiced my opinion in that meeting, that must mean that they don't respect me. I want to remind you that I didn't say don't take it personally, but rather we want to stop and consider, is this really personal or not? Here's why. 9 times out of 10, unless your work culture is really, really rough, it's not personal. And giving ourselves a built-in pause to consider that can help to put out the flame of emotion that is perhaps a little bit misplaced. At the very least, it can help us to take a breath and go, okay, I still disagree. I still don't like it. I'm still going to fight for what I think is right. But I'm not doing it to defend myself or my honor. I'm doing it because I truly believe that this is what's best for the company. It totally shifts our emotion and our mindset when we realize that it's not personal. Now, if you pause and consider and you think, I actually do believe this is personal, that's another matter entirely and it needs to be addressed. I always recommend one-on-one if at all possible and having that conversation when you're feeling calm. P.S. HR is always there to support, so if calm isn't part of the equation, don't hesitate to ask them for help. The third thing we do is plan our release route. Here's the real deal. Some days we just need a place to release the emotion. Maybe we need to cry. Maybe we need to stomp around mad for a minute. Maybe we need to process a big disappointment. Because life happens, like we spill coffee on ourselves, people cut us off in traffic, and PMS is a very real thing, we will have days when we just need to release it. The best part of planning ahead for this versus saying, nah, I'll just strong arm my way through emotions from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, is that we can build those releases to be healthy and professional. Here's some super quick tactical ideas. Obviously, every workplace is different, so some of these might not be possible for you. This is by no means meant to be an exhaustive list, just some thoughts to get things rolling. Keep a pair of noise-canceling headphones in your desk or in your workbag. Simultaneously, create a playlist that makes you happy. For me, this was always Christmas music. When you're feeling overloaded with emotions, put on the noise-canceling headphones and hit play on the playlist. The sensory input can help to physically regulate our body, while the music helps to boost our mood and calm our emotions. Take an actual break and go for a walk or go to your car. Isn't it tempting when we are ticked to just close the door and sit at our desk and scroll on Facebook? The thing is, do we ever leave those scrolling sessions feeling better? Very irregularly at best. Am I right? Moving our bodies, at the very least just outside of the building, can help us to gain perspective. We can see the sky. We can hear the noises outside. Take a deep breath and regulate. Make yourself a hot beverage. Get a cup of coffee, a tea, or even just some hot water. The act of making the beverage gives us time and space away from our desk, but hot beverages can also give us a sense of calm when we are feeling overwhelmed. Check in with your body and see if you need a snack. Listen, girl, hangry is a very real thing. I am by no means suggesting here that you emotionally eat that entire bag of chocolate in your desk. That said, sometimes when our emotions are getting the best of us, checking in with our physical bodies can help us to know if maybe a little snack could help get us regulated. What are the release routes for you? Make a plan, keep them accessible, and use them when you need to. The fourth thing is we fight for active listening. When our emotions start to rise, our ability to actually hear and comprehend what someone is saying is diminished. The trouble with this really annoying little factoid is that the very moment that our emotions start to rise is usually the very time when we need to turn our ears up and lean in. What are they really saying? What are they really meaning? When we start to respond emotionally, we have a tendency to start listening only for an opportunity to respond. This means that we are literally looking for breaks in their breath or sips of their coffee, and then watch out, pow, we're coming in hot with our thoughts. But when we are actively aware of this and we make a dedicated attempt at listening, it helps us to gather all of the information, determine if this is really personal or not, and take time to decide what our next best move is. The fifth thing we're going to do is build a box. Have you ever been in a meeting that ruffled every last feather, but then you have to get up and walk from that meeting into the very next one in which the topics couldn't be further apart? Sometimes we need to build a box for the emotions and the questions to sit in while we tend to other things. To be sure, sometimes we get to go straight back to our office, close the door, and process. And when those opportunities for immediate resolution present themselves, I say we take it and run. But for those times when it doesn't, the box can come in very handy. Here's how it works. We make a conscious decision to not let the emotions of this meeting, this conversation, or this decision derail our entire day. Instead, we commit to working through the emotions on the matter and resolving any issues that may have or will arise at a predetermined time. I want to be very clear, this box is not for collecting dust on the shelf. It's to be opened again and soon, just at the appropriate time. This is perhaps one of the biggest tools that we can learn how to use when it comes to bouncing back from big emotions at work. When we let our emotions take run for the rest of the day, we are setting ourselves up to cross professional boundaries. And remember, our doing so can cause stress and chaos for those around us. So even if we want to let our emotions run wild, we don't want that for others, right? Let's build the box, both for our own professionalism, but also for the well-being of our teams. Let's step through it. We come out of a tense meeting, but we are looking at the calendar and we see that we have back-to-back meetings until 3. So we build a box. We put our emotions, our notes, our information, our questions from this conversation into that box, and we block out 3 to 4 p.m. on our calendar, calling it the unboxing meeting. At 3, we head into our office, we close the door, and we start working through the box. We bring it all out and we determine what we do next. Meanwhile, the 5 meetings that happened previous to 3 p.m., we were present and alive for those. No one knew that we had been angry at 10 o'clock this morning. No one knew that the tears were going to fall exactly at 3 p.m. when we finally got to close our door. And the best part is, now that we can focus, we can really think through it all at once. We can see the bigger picture. We can come to resolution, and then we can move on. Whole, healthy, as people who exhibit both professionalism and those who feel and work through their emotions. Leader, professionalism isn't an absence of emotion, but rather it's the proper placement of it.
And that's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Do you have questions, comments, or insights on today's content? I would love to hear from you. You can DM me on Facebook or Instagram, or head over to our website, inspiringheights.org, and click on the Contact Us form. I will link all those locations here in the show notes. P.S. If you haven't already, I would love for you to leave a 5-star rating and a quick review of the podcast. This helps get our content in the hands of new listeners. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and follow us on social media for rhythmic doses of inspiration. All right, friends, take a deep breath and be inspired where your feet are. Bye for now.